This video is brought to you by Toys-R-Us UK. Use promo code TURTLETALK upon checkout and receive up to 10% off of these selected lines. That's promo code TURTLETALK. Link is in the description. What is going on, toy fan? Project Piper Customs here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Toy Photography, a beginner's guide. If you're looking to do more with your collection and want to start your toy photography journey, then this series right here is just for you. And in this episode, we're going to be tackling the most important part of toy photography, lighting. Now this subject will be split into two videos, so if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be notified when the rest of this series drops. So let's not waste any more time and go straight to it. Okay, and here we are on my workstation with a setup, and as you can see we are back in the loading bay alleyway again. Thought I'd put this together to show you how I light this one. And obviously the figure in focus is the City Hunter Predator from Predator 2 from NECA, and we've got him standing there, just a very vanilla pose. And we've got him just holding his spear. It's very warped, typical NECA, but you won't notice that on camera. Okay, so we just have him here, and we're going for a close-up, just a nice, dramatic, simple close-up. Okay, really, so that basically it will be the lighting and him and the details on him that will be selling the shot. So this is why I wanted to really utilize the lighting, trying to get that mood, trying to get that evening, nighttime, eerie mood. Okay, and just bring it up here, and as you can see my three foundation lights, and this is the three that I always go into every setup with. And we have this lamp here, which is a white light, and which also works as a yellow light too, but I'm using the white option. I've got it on right now so I can help frame and get the figure focused in the camera. Okay, and I've got this one up here which is clipped to my shelf, and so that's going to be the down light. And then here we have a yellow, so I have two white and one yellow. Okay, and they're my three go-to foundation lighting for any setup I do. I always make sure I've got these three on deck at all times. If I use all three, then I've got all three. If I don't need to use all three, then I won't. I'll just put one to one side and just maintain with the others. And if I do need to add any additional lighting, i.e. any color lights, then I'll have those at hand as well. But I always make sure I figure out my my setting, environmental lighting, using these three. Okay, but these are great because they're on the dimmer, and again these just clip to your desk. I bought these on Amazon, just like I bought this one on Amazon, and I got that from IKEA. Okay, so there's no dims on these, but there's a 3 setting dimmer on that one. That one's just straight yellow, and this one can switch from yellow to white. We've got our posing down. I'm going to show you my framing now. Okay, so the camera's on. Alright, so as you can see here, I know I need to put my memory card in, but we have a Dutch angle. Okay, nice close up, making use of this axis. Okay, filling the whole frame. All right, we've got the spear here which is helping fill this area, dead space right now, and all that's going to be selling this is the details on the figure and the lighting, which is going to help bring those details out. Okay, and we've got our cube. These are ULANZI cubes, and I've got 3 of these, and I'll put a link in the description. They're great. They're like a budget loom cube. Okay, and I'll go into detail a bit more about these later on, or maybe in a side note video. But I've got 3 of these. We're going to be using one of these here on the white backdrop, which is going to help illuminate through the windows. Okay, and I'll go into that a bit more. We have our color gels to clip on the front, and an extra camera battery. Okay, so how I approach lighting a scene like this is I try to imagine myself in the environment, okay, and at the time that I'm looking to shoot. Obviously this being a real world environment, being that it's a loading bay, back alley, and it's going to be a nighttime shot. Okay, so if I'm in this environment, if I'm in this loading bay area, this back alley area, and it's dead of night, where would the light source be coming from? Okay, so I'm imagining there'll be an overhead light up here, okay, focusing on the doorway of the loading bay. All right, just so that illuminates in case there's people working at night. I obviously just can imagine there'll be a soft light coming through the windows, just in case. There may not be, those people might be asleep or out, but in this case for me in my scene, they're going to be shining through to provide some additional light into the scene. Okay, and then you've got to think about everything that you're not seeing in the shot. Okay, so if this is going to be the street area, obviously, is it going to be exposed? Could this light be acting like moonlight? And will there be any traffic light? Which is where I may experiment with some colour coming in this way. Would there be any street light, you know, residual coming in? There is no exact science to lighting. So every shot you take, with every setup that you put together, will have a different lighting arrangement. Very rarely do I get to put together a scene and instantly know how to light it. I'll have a rough idea. I know that I need some light on my backdrop. Obviously I know that there's going to be some light on the figure itself in some fashion, because these are the things we want to light up so that the camera can actually see them, you know. But in terms of how I'm going to light them, depending on where he is in the environment that I've set up for him, that's where you play about with him. And that's what I'm going to be doing right now. So right now I'm going to set you aside and just get my foundation lighting worked out, and we'll check back in a minute. Okay, so I've pretty much got my foundation lighting worked out. As I say, I didn't end up using the yellow one, but I have got my overhead one here, which is sort of aiming more light in this area. And so we've got the blue light, which is illuminating through for the windows, and this light over here, I've actually used a piece of tissue paper to help diffuse it. All right, so obviously it's very, very bright, but just to help take the harshness of the light off, I've added this little bit of tissue paper, and that's acting like a filter to come through. So with that, I am down here, and here we have a still. Let me just bring the brightness down, so it's about there is where I've got my lighting at. I like the shadow I've got going on over here. You can't really see much of the blue through the window, but you can see it illuminating on this wall. And of course the downlight is hitting the backdrop, which is able to pick up the outline of the figure here. So we've got some shadow on the front, clearly see it from the back because of the outline from the illumination of the backdrop there. And then of course you've got the details which are visible on this side because you've got that side light coming in. Okay, so let me just give you a better look at a better angle. There you go. Okay, so what I'm thinking about doing is possibly adding some extra light over here, maybe from behind, maybe get some rim lighting going across here. Right, so I'm thinking about possibly having to play with this. It's another ULANZI cube. I've got the yellow gel on it. Okay, so something, let me just flick you back over. Oops, nudge the camera. Okay, almost dead on the battery. So there, and that battery is probably going to die soon. These ULANZI cubes are great, but the battery does die real fast, sadly. So trying to do this in a timely manner. But yeah, so I was thinking about adding some additional light, maybe from behind, maybe just from over here. This is the part where we play. Okay, this is where we play with additional light. Maybe something like, maybe like a headlight, or just some nearby street lamp just coming in, maybe from behind, something like that. This is where you get the fun, dramatic lighting coming in. Okay, once you've got your setting of the environment lighting down and your subject lit enough in camera, then you can start playing with some additional light. You see? Okay, you can have all sorts of fun. Alright, so I'm going to set you back down and we are going to work the rest of this one out, ladies and gents. Okay, and I may end up also adding some mist, not to catch it as rain, but just to add some to add a bit of moisture to the top of the figure so the light bounces off him a little bit better. Alright, so I think I'm happy with the shot that I got. I'm happy with the lighting. Obviously you saw me play around with it a little bit more. Sometimes you have to make adjustments here and there. You know, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you think, am I happy with that, really? And then you just play around with it a little bit more until you hit that sweet spot. Okay, so obviously we have, as I said before, we've got the blue light in the back coming through from the windows. We have our up light here, which is bringing a white light down onto the backdrop just here, trying to keep this little bit area shadowed a little bit more than this area. Okay, we have our light here, which is sort of simulating some sort of, you know, just residual street light or moonlight, obviously with the filter paper on. And as you saw me playing around with, finally settled on a good position for this light, okay, which is coming in this way, and it's just cutting across him here. Okay, so it's not directly on him, and it's just illuminating enough of the spear and the mask and providing a little bit of rim lighting. And obviously I got him a little bit damp with this. And also you saw me just add a little bit more atmosphere with my vape. Now I know not everyone is a vape person, but I will go into different ways that you can simulate that effect yourself. And I thought you just needed a little bit something else, you know, just need a little bit and yeah, I managed to get a nice enough cloud that was dense enough not to completely block out the backdrop, but enough to keep the focus on the predator. Okay, so this is how it looks in my viewfinder. As you can see, the smoky atmosphere just at the back is just dense enough to create a little bit of fog, and so it keeps the main focus on the figure. Because I was noticing that the backdrop, the brown of the walls and the backdrop was kind of blending into the colour of the mask, and it weren't really cutting through. So with the downlight and a little bit of atmosphere, it was able to just make the figure pop a little bit more, especially with that side light. Okay. And yeah, really happy with how this one turned out. Okay, and here we are with a brand new setup. Alright, so here we have a rooftop setup this time. Again, going with the nighttime theme, but completely different environment. And with a different environment comes a whole new lighting setup. Okay, so this time, as you can see, in the rooftop we have the Mafex Hush Catwoman, and she's just playing with their little kitty on top of the roof, on a Gotham rooftop with the bat signal. And here we have some extra little pieces in the back to give you that depth of field and just give you that city vibe. Okay, so I'll take you through the setup very quickly. So here we have the rooftop base, alright, with the bat signal just there. And we have a water tower and this part of the roof, which is actually part of this, but I've just separated it to have it in the back to give you a sense of depth and expand the environment a little bit. At the back here we have a black towel and my whiteboard. The whiteboard will be helping reflect light from to make it look like the windows are shining through, just like the last one. And the black towel, as I said from part one, this will give the illusion of infinite night, infinite darkness. So I have gone ahead and set up my foundation light. Okay, and yeah, so the idea behind this is I did want to try and capture, as you see it now with Catwoman, and full body of the cat, but unfortunately I just did not have enough you know, things to try and build the city setup. Okay, unfortunately all of this was getting into frame and it just wasn't working out. My framing failed on this idea originally, unfortunately. But just a little side lesson, if you have an idea for a shot and you set it all up and the framing, you just cannot get everything into frame the way you want it, okay, do not give up. There's been plenty of times where I've set up a shot and I've just thought, well, you know what, this isn't working, and I've completely collapsed it and gone on to something else. But because I have limitations, i.e. my work area, this is it, the only area I have to shoot in. Okay, the idea is to make your limitations, know your limitations first, and then make your limitations work for you. Do not give up. There's always other ways around it. So with this shot, instead of being able to get the full scale of a figure, okay, and get this full city setting, I decided to go the opposite and get close up, okay, so that the frame will capture this intimate part right here, which is essentially the main focus of the shot anyway. Okay, so I'm going to show you how it's framed, and then we're going to show you how I've got it lit up and why these lights are in the positions they are. Okay, so here we are. This is the framing, as you can see, all right there in view. Okay, so we have Catwoman playing with her kitty, and obviously the bat signal in the back, and this is with the two main foundation lights. Okay, so I've got them on at the moment. These are the ones I played with to try and get this this vibe of the city. Now basically what I have here is this lamp, which I had overhead before in the last one, okay, and I have this one here. All right, and what it is with this environment is when you're on a rooftop, majority of the light source will be coming from the city light from below. Okay, all right, the only real light you're going to get from up here would be some sort of moonlight or residual light coming in from the city, but that will be from far away. Okay, so to simulate light coming from the city below, we have this here. All right, for this one here, this is acting as what you would see as sort of like a, you know, a distant moon and some residual city light coming in across here, and that's just helping illuminate the rest of the scene just here in the middle before the bat signal. Because as you can see, even though this isn't really lighting anything in the scene, it is the main sort of center, okay, centerpiece in the back. It's having the bat signal shining into the sky. Right, and as you can see here, I have a couple of ULANZI cubes placed to try and simulate some light coming from below the city, but from behind. So I have a yellow one, more of an orange, okay, and that's just focused this way. Okay, so hopefully that will illuminate some of the water tower we have. And of course I have a blue one here. All right, and that's just going to add some sort of color coming in and illuminating a little bit of the brickwork here as well, and some of the side of the tower. Okay, so there we are with the additional lights. Okay, obviously with the with Catwoman and the cat being in focus, you know, you're getting a sort of a toned down version of the backdrop itself. Obviously it's very out of focus, but it does give you a city sort of setting. The bat signal is lovely right in the center there, picking up the detail, giving them some rim lighting. And as you can see, we have our orange light here, the windows are illuminated, and you have our blue light here. I may adjust it because I'm not really happy with that blue glow right there, but we'll have a play and we'll see how we get on. I may end up hitting this with a little bit of a vape, and the reason why I'm sort of doing that, and I'll explain that towards the end, just to give it a bit more atmosphere, but vape does really help elevate lighting. So yeah, this is a bit of fun to play around with. As I say again, you have to sort of imagine yourself in this environment with the light coming up from the city, illuminating what it could, and sort of just getting a feel for the placement, adding a little bit of colour, and just seeing how I could do, you know, how I could get on with making sure that the cat and Catwoman herself are highlighted nicely, but also giving you a sense that it's a busy city going on underneath. And here we are, guys. This is the shot. I'm really happy with how this came out. As you can see, we have the vape cloud just at the back there. As you can see, it's sort of rolling across the back, really amplifying that blue and that orange, making you feel like there's a lot of activity going on below. Okay, so really happy with how that turned out. So let's pull away and have a look at the setup. And there she is. So yeah, I aimed for the vape cloud to sort of be in this direction, so I sort of blew it this way, so the little bit of the residual vape can sort of come in front of the bat signal, but mainly so that it will tumble in front of the blue, sort of bounce off of the back wall there, and then sort of roll and hit the orange, so it sort of spread and it sort of illuminated that whole back area. So yeah, really happy with how that turned out. Let me bring it back down. It did take a couple of goes. So let's have a look at a couple of ones I took prior. Okay, so as you can see there, it was a bit too thick. A bit too thick. Bit of a heavy cloud, that one. It's all about timing as well with the button. Okay, and this one here, it was a bit too concentrated on the left. It wasn't really tumbling down towards the orange light as I wanted, so I moved away from that one. And this one here, I was playing with the bat signal light. Okay, but I realised I wanted it to, it is as nice as I did like this one a lot, but I thought if I brought the light down a little bit, as you can see here, the light actually ends up capturing Selena Kyle's finger. Okay, so it sort of highlights more of what the shot is about. Alright, did you enjoy that? Hope you did. Sorry to throw you in the deep end there, but when it comes to tangible lighting, there are no shortcuts. Say hello to the cat. So yeah, now that I've got you back in the alley, I just wanted to take you through a couple of things that I did use within these setups that you just saw, but I wanted to elaborate them a little bit more, and that is shadow play and rim lighting. So you're going to bring in our subject matter right now. Sorry cat, you're going to get covered up. And we have the one Casey Jones. Okay, to start with, the foundation lights that I got with this set, obviously let me take you through them now. We have the one just above here, okay, all the way up there. All right, we have that one there, it's illuminating the backdrop, giving it that shadowy feel. Okay, and then we've got the one just off to the corner here, as you can see. Alright, and that's just bringing in some light into the setup, but not too much. Okay, now what we're going to do is talk about shadow play. Now, what a lot of people tend to do, especially newcomers, when it comes to when sorting out their foundation light, whatever light they're going to be using to illuminate the figure itself, okay, they tend to just have it whack straight on them like that. Okay, and that pretty much just dulls out the entire backdrop, even if you have light on the backdrop. Okay, and doesn't provide any mood to the scene. Okay, so the idea is not to have the light directly on him, blasting at him like that, because it kind of washes him out, but the idea is to have the light cutting across. Okay, cutting across, so do not aim the light directly in the figure's face, but more so to one side. Okay, so as you can see there, I'm bringing the light into frame, but if you go to one side, you get this nice shadow forming on the other side. Naturally, that's where shadows are going to form. So I'm arching the light. As you can see, I've got the tissue paper on, which is helping diffuse the light. Alright, so as I'm bringing it over here, okay, and this is where the fun is, when you're playing with your light through your viewfinder, trying to get that nice dramatic mood. Alright, okay, and now I think we've found our sweet spot. Okay, as you can see, we have some nice illumination on this side of the mask, which is obviously casting some nice shadowing on this side. Okay, same again for the body. Okay, the light in the back is providing that downlight on the backdrop, which is obviously highlighting his silhouette, and we've still got some illumination through the windows. Okay, and this is a lot more dramatic than just having the light blasted on him full pelt. So I'm going to angle you up and just show you what position I landed in. Okay, so I've got the light just there, tilted neck. Okay, so it's coming down this way. Okay, so it's literally just coming across him like that, which is what's casting the shadow around that area. So this right here is how you can play with your shadows. Alright, just play as you saw earlier, just finding that nice sweet spot mirrored with your backdrop light and having this nice illumination wash over him this side, and you've got yourself a nice moody picture. Okay, switching gears to rim lighting, and we have brought Casey forward, and with that blue light we were playing with earlier, which is now over here facing upwards, so the majority of the light is shining straight up, but what residual light that's coming into the shot is hitting Casey's back. And as you can see, we've got the outer edge here just being illuminated, but majority of the illumination is coming from this edge. Okay, hitting that mask really nicely, contrasting with the light coming from here on this side, and we've got ourselves a nice crispy mood. Combine that with the backdrop light, which is up here as you've seen before. Okay, and that's hitting the backdrop, illuminating that, which is also picking up his silhouette. Alright, you saw it in the beginning setup, now let's talk about it, and what I'm referring to is atmosphere. Now, what I use for atmosphere is right here, of course, my vape. I am a dirty former smoker, and I've moved on to this. Now, as I am a vapor, this does aid massively in giving that fog, atmospheric scene, setting the mood, especially when you blow it and it sort of just tumbles in front of the light. Really does set a nice moody atmosphere. Okay, but I suspect not all of you are cigarette smokers or vapors, and I do not encourage anyone to take it up for obvious reasons. So taking this out of the equation for those of you who are not like me, and yeah, so here are a couple of alternatives. I will be mentioning a couple that I don't have that you can buy, but first of all, you saw it, deodorant can. Okay, simple. Okay, will make your figure smell nice, but if you're not interested in that, there is this, and this is polyester, right? Essentially pillowcase stuffing. So if you've got an old pillow, tear it apart, give yourself some of this, and this stuff is awesome. This stuff really does translate well into cloud, smoke, fog, steam, whatever your precipitation, and especially when it's out of focus, this stuff really does translate well on camera. Okay, and the great thing about this stuff is you can pull it apart, make it as thin as you want, make it as thick as you want. You can even paint it up to have an explosion effect, okay, with the light underneath it, and this thing really does pop when you get light underneath it. Okay, so if you have some of this just in the background, spread across real fine. Okay, just pull it apart. All right, get it real fine cloudy mist. Okay, and out of focus, this stuff will look awesome. And then another trick with this to create some depth with your atmosphere, okay, is this, right? So I've got a little clump, and what I'm going to do is this. You see that? Simply holding some up to the lens, immediately out of focus, gives you some foreground misty atmosphere. Okay, another little trick to add some mood, add some depth to your scene. Okay, I've used this a few times myself. Alright, even just bring it down lower and it gives you some foreground depth atmosphere. Okay, so aside from standard deodorant can, which is bright enough, you get a nice misty cloud. Okay, there are a couple of alternatives. Firstly, staying on the theme of aerosol, is atmospheric aerosol. Yes, they sell it in the can. It is quite expensive, but it is available on Amazon and on eBay, or if you're in the US, more than likely in one of your local handy hardware hobby stores. And the next alternative, which is personally one of my favourites, is the Nano Mist Sprayer. Small, compact, and it will send a nice mist into your setup to give you some nice atmosphere. So now I just want to show you quickly how these look with some light in them. So we're going to kill some lights, bring in a trusty ULANZI cube, have a bluish purple gel on, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that, pull off a clump of the polyester and lay it down, okay, and as you can see, the light is just beaming straight through it. Really nice. And this will work great for like magic effects. You know, it's a great tangible way of putting off basically, yeah, just some mysticism going on within your setup. And of course, if you had a yellow light underneath, great explosion effect. Okay, just laid it out in front so you could have some rolling glowing mist coming through your scene. Okay, the ideas and possibilities are endless with this stuff. It's amazing. Okay, so putting the polyester aside, now I want to show you this quickly. Okay, so using the aerosol, you see that? See how the mist is literally just catching the light and spreading it? Yeah. Now imagine what you can do with one of those nano mist sprayers, okay? And let me show you how effective it is with the vape. Okay. The vape rolls in and it just carries the light and spreads it across the whole setup. With each display comes a brand new lighting setup. For some that can be daunting, but just like painting a custom figure, lighting is where your display really comes to life. So imagine yourself in the environment, imagine where the light would be, and keep grinding. And that is it for part 1. Please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for part 2. See you then and take care.